Okay, Notis, start the stream. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my toolshed. I am Flo, your host and creator of Notis.ai. And today we're back at office hour and we're going to talk about Notis versus MCP in Claude or in other software. Maybe we'll have time to do some tests between, what's the MCP experience inside Redcast, for example, inside what else do we have? OpenAI, ChatGPT, and mostly a lot of my users have been talking about Claude as the gold standard that they use all the time with Notion. So it seems to be the one that attracts more people into using MCP. Personally, I'm not sold on MCPs. I think they're um, generally overcomplicated in terms of integrations for developer, and especially for something like Notion that, where we all have different Notion workspace with different setups. They're not really adapted. I think they're great for integrating with, for example, Google Calendar or something like this, but I'm not sold yet on that whole MCP thing. And maybe it's just me. Maybe by the end of this stream I will change my point of view. I'm really open to that because I haven't spent time recently on that, and I know that MCPs, they get updated pretty often. I think we're the second iteration of the one for Notion. That's the one I'm mostly interested in, so we're gonna give it a try and see how easy it is to set up. I just have my Pro Max, whatever it is, Claude account right now that I'm using with Claude Code. And since it's ending in 25 days, I'm going to take the opportunity to test this while I still have a subscription. So yeah, that's going to be the program for today. And yeah, as always, we're going to, when we do these kind of things, we're going to open Telegram on one side with Notis, have Claude Code on the other side, and see what we can do with one versus what we can do with the other. I'm definitely biased, but I haven't prepared anything. So this demo can go in two different ways. And so, yeah, there's going to be a bit of suspense. Hopefully, I'll be proud of Notice at the end of this experience. And if not, well, I'll go back to the drawing board and make sure to keep improving the system. I have some very exciting things coming up. I am actually testing Notice live mode, which is, you can call Notice directly on WhatsApp and you talk to, we call them voice agents. So it's really like a real-time experience. And what I love about this is with this new modality, you can basically segment the kind of use cases. So if I'm going to text Notice, I expect Notice to take a few minutes to answer. So I want Notice to optimize for the level of intelligence. But if I call Notice, it means that I need an answer right away. So it's going to be different tools and overall a very different experience. I'm very excited. I think I'm going to bring this to the product by the end of the week, and then make a video next week on this, and it's going to be part of my August official release, even though I release things during the months, but kind of secretly. Anyway, that's just a little parenthesis. Today we're going to focus and stay focused on what's the experience of using Code, sorry, not Claude Code, Claude, just Claude with MCP versus doing things with Notion AI. We'll talk a bit about Notion AI, and especially the new Notion AI and Notice, obviously. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you. Oops, we're going to do something like this. We're going to just switch. What is this? It's display mode, and that's the built-in, and just make things slightly bigger for you guys. So yeah, should be good like this. So here we are. As you can see, my plan is ending in 25 days. I took this because I wanted to test a bit of all the hype around Claude Code, but I must say I still prefer coding with oops, sorry, this is being a long day, Cursor. So, but anyway, again, my ADHD is kicking in. So let's focus on cold code. So basically, once you have a paid subscription, you can go here and you have access to the different tools that you have connected. And if you go there, you can also select the different integrations that you want to connect. So I have a bunch already activated, and I don't have Notion yet. So let's do Notion. Let's search for Notion there. Yep, there it is. To complete the setup, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have time to check what I was going to say. So this is my Notion workspace. Sounds good. One question I have as a developer is, because every time I've played with MCP, like for Superbase, for example, you have to set up all your credential, and it's really geeky. What I really like with what they've done here is like really that one click setup. And first question that comes to my mind is, you know, can we do this, or is this just because they're working with Notion? Because this is really not the usual MCP experience. Like the usual MCP experience is more something like this, install an MCP. And this is supposed to be one of the best experience on the market. And you have to put your comment, your arguments. And yeah, I don't think that my audience is really open to this. So I don't know. This is definitely something I want to search about. Like, can we create something based on MCP that is as cool as this, workflow that we just went through? It was really just clicking a button. So here we have no tools available. All right. So the trouble starts. Let's see. Manage connectors. Notion. We want to configure this. Okay. This is going to be a very short demo if this is what we get. So we have the Notion tool here. Oh, now it's working. There you go. It just needed a bit of a push. So, okay, great thing. We can see all the different tools that the MCP server has access to. So it can search, it can fetch, it can create page, update page, move page, duplicate page, create database. That is really cool because, no, especially this. This is very cool because this is not currently exposed by the Notion API. So you cannot update the database. So this makes it very cool because then, eventually when they make this available through the API, or if I ever use, MCP to integrate with Notion, it would enable Notice to basically create your own database. So you'd be talking to Notice and like, hey, I have this new blog project, and then Notice would suggest, hey, maybe we could create a database to store your blog post, and suggest the different fields and properties, and end all this for you, and just modify the database to put all the instructions for Notice directly in the description as we do with Notice, so it has your business logic. So that's my end goal, that you have like a system that can understand when you need like a new place to store information, and then can create that place to store information and add the business logic on top of it. Because as the CEO of Microsoft said, basically any piece of software is a UI, a database, and some business logic. And between Notice and Notion, you can do all of this. Your database is your Notion database. Your business logic is what you put in the description of your Notion database, and your UI is, either WhatsApp, Telegram, WhatsApp Voice now, and so on. So this is pretty cool. What else do we have? Create comment, get comments, get users, get self, get users. All right, enhance markdown specification. What do we have? This complete specification for Notion enhance markdown, including all block types, rich text formattings. Oh, seems very, very complete. Let's see how it does in real life. So I am, to make it a bit easier on Claude at first, I'm just going to deselect all my other sources. Also, this will enable me to avoid leaking too much information with you guys. So we have our Notion there activated. Cannot select any tools. It doesn't propose us to select any tools, but I suppose it works. Let's start with something quite easy, and we're gonna share the screen, like do something like this. And so on one side we're gonna put Telegram, and on the other side we're gonna put Claude Code, and we're gonna use my own Notice account to ask the same questions on both sides. So let's see what tasks did I completed today. So this needs to run a query on my task database for tasks that are completed and have been updated today. Let's see, the database is not really optimized for this, because if we just have a look on my database, basically if you open a task, you have like a status. So it needs to be smart enough to understand that we're looking for status complete, and then it has a date. So we'll have to query for that date or the last edited time at least to find this. So it's not overly complicated to do. So I think it's a good first step to do. Let's see how those two do. So there you go. So yeah, Notice just told us that it's looking for this. And we have Claude Code working on this. We can see like some of the thinking process. Let me recent chat tools with the filter tools. So right now is looking for my relevant chats inside in, inside Claude. This is not what I want to do. So just checking, is there a problem with my Notion tool here? Yeah. So I've just reloaded the page. Let's try this again. Let's just open a new conversation, and we have all our tools, Notion tools, and let's just search. So here it is for Notice, support multiple events per day. This is indeed a task that I completed today. So yeah, this is, at least Notice did the job. Still searching on my conversation. Can you search this in Notion? Oh, there you go. Understood. Okay, always low. Now it's searching Notion. It's doing like a query for completed today, task done, internal. So it's searching on Notion. It's not really querying my database right now. So it's using, I guess it's using some kind of RAG search. Okay, this is failing miserably. So let's try to, so let's have a look at the tools that he has access to. And what do we have? We have fetch, search. Yeah. So yeah, the first problem that I see here is the same problem that I saw a couple of months, and what I saw Notion struggle with so much is, like they gave it access to a search tool that has basic RAG functionality. So for those that don't know what RAG is, it's retrieval augmented generation. Basically, you store a bunch of information in a vector database. It's called. It's a mathematical format where you basically vectorize information, and then when the user queries something, you look at the closest vector in that database. It's very good for finding a needle in the haystack. So, finding my passport number into my Notion workspace works really well for this. But when it comes to querying a database, what was the last blog post that I published or something like that, it's really bad at it. So it just cannot do it. And the great thing, if I go back to Notion, and I'm often very critical of Notion, but they're really making very good progress on this, and I'm really happy with this. Like now, this is the new Notion AI, and it can now finally query its own database. Just took them 2.5 years to do this. But like, if I were to ask the same question for to Notion AI, like, what was the question exactly? Let me go back and copy the same question here. Um, what task did I completed today? Normally should be smart enough to realize that I have a task database, especially since I'm on the page of that database. Query the database and then find all the tasks that match the correct criteria. So let's see how Notice Notion AI. Those two names are so close that no wonder that everyone mixed it up. Supports multiple events per day. So there you go, good to go. Notion AI, you finally can search your database. You're doing a great job, and you find my tasks. So this is the first thing that, to be honest, I was kind of expecting, but I also wanted to be wrong about it, is that they haven't exposed through the MCP the ability to query the database for any integration. So I also have, for example, on Redcast, you can also install MCP server and also have it here. So I can ask Notion like this, and then ask the same question: what tasks did I completed today? And because it used exactly the same thing, um, yeah, it's gonna try to get a page that's gonna fail miserably. And yeah, that's the experience that 99% of people get when trying to integrate those tools with Notion. So it's not enough to just like add an MCP button on your website and say, hey, we integrate with Notion, and then people cannot use the product. But let's try to use the product for something that it could do better than Notice, and might be an inspiration for Notice. So let's start a new conversation here, and we're gonna do something that I know Notice will fail because it's not equipped to do this. So this will make it a bit fairer comparison here. So let's say I want to, what could we do? Let's say I want to track the books that I'm reading and summaries. So I want to track the books I'm reading and their summary into Notion. Can you help me create a database that does just this? And of course, we're going to do the same with Notice, and we're gonna fail miserably doing so. Hey Damon, I see you just connected to the office hours. I'm really sorry, I'm streaming, so I'm not going to take you live today. um, Normally, if you guys want to join and have a one-to-one conversation with me on the during the office hours, just check at what time it starts. It starts at 5 p.m. CT. There is this website I am that you can see below, where you can see it in your local time zone. And if you get there on time, then we'll make like a one-to-one, one-on-one conversation where I addressed your different questions. If you don't come up on time, what I generally do is I live stream those, and I do something fun like comparing Notice to the MCP integrations for Notion into Claude. So sorry, I cannot take you today, but maybe I hope you can come back tomorrow. So back to what we were doing. So here, Notice fails miserably and say, hey, I can't create Notion. At least it doesn't hallucinate to try to do it with you. It will, give you some instructions. Basically, what it did here, it searched it can search the Notice Help Center to basically give you like a step by step on how to do this yourself. And here, here Claude should be doing better. I'll help you create a book tracking database. Great, the database has been created. Perfect. I've created comprehensive database. And let's see in Notion. Yeah, it's here. Very good. So it has created that database with title, author, book links, everything you'd expect into a database. And now we're going to ask it to modify this. Okay, I'm using Notice to track my books from my book summary from a voice message. But I'd like all my summaries to look the same. Can you craft a prompt that specify the format of the summary and update the description of the Notion database with it? Let's see if it understands how this works. This is new territory. Okay, I'm gonna stop typing and use Whisperflow because this is very boring to watch me type. Okay, I'll create a structure prompt for a consistent book summary and update your database description with it. This will serve as a template you can follow when creating summaries. And while it does this, let's just open a new tab. And just for my own curiosity, let's go to the Notion API doc. Which is a very infamous API to consume if you're a developer. And let's just confirm this. Let's just go to the API reference, and we have the database here, database properties. We have the endpoints here. We can see, unfortunately, you can the API the columns database UI as a to use send a patch request with the properties, rename a property, limitation, not that the property type title cannot be changed. Well, it seems that they just introduced this because you can create a database and it looks like you can update a database. Limitation, formula. Well, that's very nice to know. That's why I'm doing those streams. It's also my research and development. So you can now update the database. This is a new feature that they've introduced. They say updated 2 years ago, but this wasn't there before. So good thing then, it means that soon enough you'll see Notice that you can also create your own database directly in Notice. I will work on this soon. I love this. This is going to be nice. I cannot let Claude win on this. So wait, perfect. I've created a comprehensive book tracking database, blah, blah, blah. Did it just create a new database? Okay, why? No, that's good. It's just updated. So look, it even helped me use my Notice, because now I have this database. I have a prompt for Notice inside the database description that explains how I want my book summaries to be formatted for Notice. And now if I were to use Notice to create like a new entry in that database, I could just say something like, oh, sorry, let's do this. Not as a video, like as an audio. Hey, Notice, I am working. I just read this book. It's called The Lean Startup by Eric Rice. And I really love the concept developed into it. And what I really remember from the book, and I don't remember much of the book, is that you're supposed to build MVP to test your key hypothesis. And basically, those key hypotheses are the things that will make or break your product. Can you create a summary, a very shitty summary of what I just shared? Thank you. That's going to be quite bad. But let's see, Notice can use this. And now we can also try to use this, not in the same thread for Claude, because that would be way too easy for Claude. So I can say, hey, can you create, oh, we said I would use Whisperflow. can you create summary for Eric Rice Lean Startup book and save it in my Notion database, please? And we can do the same. No, let's just do one Eric Rice at a time. So we have Notice working on this. Okay, there's here's a deliberate rough and basic summaries. Okay, thanks. Can you give me the link to the entry? Oh, I haven't synchronized this database, so let's just show you how to do this. Let's just open the portal for Notice, and we'll want to use this new database, which is not inside the Notice Second Brain System template. So we just need to go here and select that database, include it. It will sync with the portal, can go back to that list. And here we're going to see that blah, blah, blah. We have our reading list here, and we have the instructions for Notice. And so now if we ask Notice to, sorry, I forgot. Let's do, sorry, I forgot to give you access to the database. You should see it now. Can you create an entry in that database and send me the link, please? Thank you. So where are we with Claude? Well, this is working. So it's still working. Okay, it's search where to place this. Hunted alternatives database for book summaries. What was that query about? Type, yeah. Good, I found something. Let's see what this is going to turn out. This seems awfully complicated for what it's trying to do here, and awfully long as well. Should we put some music? I think we should put some music in those office hours. Let's see what kind of music we have for the stream. Clear music. This is terrible. I'm using Restream to stream this, and this is terrible. I think I need to come up with my own music when I join the stream. Yeah, this is not going to work. All right, music for next time. Okay, Claude is struggling a bit here. Wrestled with the Notion API connection. Okay, yeah, I know the problem. Fail tool call, connection close. Okay, thank you, Claude, and thank you, Notion, for proving me right that those MCP integration are still kind of garbage. Okay, it just gave up. Just gave up and created a Canva to put the summary. No, let's have a look at Notice. I just finished creating an entry in my notes and documents. No, this is not the right place. Notice, not the right place. Okay, maybe didn't have access to my Notion database. Let's, like, the two of them, they failed, to be honest here. But Notice, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna, oh yeah, there you go. This is often like a user error. I created that database, I added it to my Notice portal, but I don't activate it. So yeah, I keep insisting on Notice to create this there, but it doesn't exist for Notice. Like, let's apologize again. Oopsie. Um, this time you should see it. Can you create the document in that database? The reading database, my reading list, it's called. Thank you. For now, we can delete this this is this is not the right place. So it didn't follow the prompt. Um, and hopefully now this is activated. It should work fine. So Claude is still writing like a summary. That's cool. But it couldn't save it into the database that it created itself. So for now, we have one point for Notice for finding information in database, 1 point for Claude for creating a database and editing it. And then we're going to have another point for Notice for creating a document inside any database, and 0 point for Claude there. So let's just wait a second. Let's just do the same thing with Notion AI that does a great job now as well for this. So let's just go there and say, can you create a summary for Eric Riesling starter book and save it into my Notion database? Let's see if it finds the right database. Now here we have Orlean startup now in my reading list. It has completed some of the information. If we wanted, for example, Notice to do a web search before every time that it, create like a summary here, we could just add it into the description of that database. Perform a web search prior to inserting a new entry in this database to get all the necessary property of the book. Okay. And now it would do this automatically every time I ask it to insert a database. So it will search online for the book, and it will, find all the information about the book and insert it. For now, because it didn't put that in the prompt, I will just ask Notice, can you search? Oh, sorry. Can you search the web for the properties, the missing properties of that database, so you can complete that entry with all the missing properties? Thank you. Always say thank you to an AI. You never know what's going to happen in the future. So this was a fail. Let's see how Notion AI is doing. Notion AI is here, and it all said, I created, saved a concise summary of Eric Rice in my reading database. So good job, Notion AI. It didn't went to find those informations by itself. And let's see, main theme, key takeaways, memorable quotes, personal impact. Let's see. Main theme, key takeaways, memorable quotes, personal impact. So we just learned something nice, is that Notion AI and the Notion team just had the same idea that I had a while back, that you could store your prompt basically inside the description of the database. So they're using the same format that we're using with Notice. It's no coincidence that it just created this following the instructions that I put in the prompt. So this is really a very, very cool tip, and I think a great way to use Notion databases and their structure. So good job for getting inspired by Notice, guys. So this is a very major win, I think, for Notion AI right now, into its ability to find the right database, understand the description of the database to find additional instructions, and then following those instructions, as Notice has always done for 12 months now. Let's see if I think Notion AI can also web search. So let's can you do a web search and complete the missing fields? So I know this was like an AMCP test, but for now, I'm sorry to say, and I'm sorry to report, that Claude is failing quite miserably at 2 of those 3 tests that we've performed so far. So let's have a look at the other features that they give us access into Notion. So we can search. So obviously, I could search for, what is the size of my van, Watson. Let's see if it that I want this to be searched into my Notion workspace. Yeah, no, that's a fail. You search on Notion. Oh, like this is dumb. This is so dumb. It's not even performing a web search right now. And I have the tool activated. I don't know how the people that, the users, the Notice users that mentioned that they're using this heavily, I don't know how they're doing, honestly. Let's do this on Raycast. Let's see if it does better here, because I can force the tool. I can say, ask Notion, what is the size of my van, Watson? It's the name of my van, by the way. Well, okay, still failing. Let's it's using like a nano, so maybe that's why. Let's do it here with GPT-5 Notion. What's the size of my van? What's okay? Like with GPT-5, it's calling the right function. That's cool. Then it's getting the page. Okay, didn't find it. All right. So, but if I do the same thing here, so don't, I feel, just back to our book example, it has filled the information that it found online. So really cool. Like you could see really the power of those agents when they have access to different tools, because it can use Notion now, right? Notion AI, and because it can search the web, it can do those two things. Now, obviously, it doesn't have access to all the functions that Notice has access. So if you ask it to send you a draft by email, it couldn't do it. Or perform a deep search cannot do it yet. But you can see, like, it's really that idea of putting the right context into the agent, and then giving a bunch of tools for the agent so it can support like a lot of use case. If you want this to be turned into voice notes to listen into the car, that you're not going to be able to do it. So still not something that works. Oh, well, I just realized something, guys. Okay, my test was a bit biased because it edited my notice my notice test. So let's do another test. Let's pick up two books that we like. What books can we pick up? There is okay, let's do best startups books, because my brain is totally off when I'm on a stream, so I'm not going. I like those two one, 021 and Ukt. So let's give this to Notice and Notion AI and see how they do with this. So Notice is still doing its web search. It's quite a comprehensive web search apparently, but it will get back to us eventually. So let's launch Notion AI here. Let's start a new conversation to start fresh. Let's remove the context, and let's say, can you create? So now we can see we have like the perform web search instructions here in our database instructions. Follows this by itself. Can you create a summary of the book 021 and save it in my reading list? Let's see if it follows the instructions like Notice did, or it was actually just because it found the summary that Notice had already created, and just overwrote some things. Let's see how it does. And let's ask Notice to create a summary of this book that I read a while back, Hooked. So it has created new entry of 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Thiel, I don't know how you pronounce this. Very famous startup book that I read a long time ago. And so, yeah, I didn't follow my instructions at all. I just created the summary. So sorry, I'm taking it all back. Notion AI doesn't follow your instructions in your description. Absolutely ignore it. Um, and so it didn't complete any fields, didn't perform like a web search, didn't do anything. So let's try to push it a bit. Can you follow the instructions in the database description and perform a web search to complete the missing fields? Yeah, Notice is still doing a web search. I don't know what. Oh, likely did a deep search. Notice is a bit too excited at using deep search instead of web search. So when you ask Notice to do web search, it has two modes basically: one for deep search, one for web search. And I've seen that the prompt is, getting a bit excited at running the deep search all the time. That is, a bit long, a bit expensive. So something to adjust. Eventually, will get back to me, but it's basically searching the whole internet for every reference of that book that we were working on, getting all information into that web search. So next time I will ask it to just do like a quick search. I'll do it here. Perform a web search. For now, we're just going to do not a deep one. Okay, so 0 to 1, what happened there? All right, we have some information. We have the author. We don't have the format. We have the genre, the ISBN, no ratings. Yeah, and still didn't follow the instructions here. So yeah, I mean, it's better than it used to be. It can actually use database, query database, but it's still not at the level of Notice when it comes into what kind of things you can delegate to it. The really cool thing again with Notice is that ability that you turn any Notion database into its own AI agent simply by first creating a database, putting your own properties, and then adding your instructions into the description of database. And it's such a powerful paradigm for creating automations. You have like one single agent. Actually, Notice is multiple agents. They each have different functions, specialized functions, but the prompt is set by me to optimize your experience. But then the functions that those agents have access to are dependent of your Notion databases and their description. So basically, each database that you have activated into Notice has its own insert function that has a description, and that description is the description of the database. So this makes for a very flexible system. Okay, let's see if we, before we wrap up, let's see if we can come up with some other use case for Claude AI that is failed miserably at this MCP test. Definitely, I'm not convinced on the MCP any more than I was before that live. Let's ask Claude for some ideas. give me some ideas of stuff I can do with the Notion MCP. Query in a database? Well, no. Cross database query, no. To generate meeting notes. Okay, so let's okay, search what was my last meeting with Adrian about. Well, 11th of August, that's not this. So it's getting the document, but it's getting the wrong document. So basically it just did a rag again. Didn't try to query my database. Yep. That is, I'll stop it so I don't give you all my secret information, but it's basically not this. So this is a fail. Again, let's do the comparison real quick here. Let's go here, and what was my last meeting with Adrian about? And what we can do, because Notice is stuck at doing like a deep search. Yeah, so it found the same thing here. So it ran, yeah, it looked at my emails, and that is not relevant. Just did a rag search, didn't try to query my database. So let's see if Notice does better here. What was my last meeting with Adrian about? So I'm lucky I get to use two Notice. So once one is stuck doing something, I can just use the other one. This is the Notice development environment that let me test the new features for Notice. And yeah, they're completely independent. So let's let it run for a while. Anyway, do you guys have any questions? Just drop it in the chats. And I'll try to perform this live right now. We're comparing Claude MCP with Notion AI and with Notice. And so far, clearly Claude is the clear loser here. I'm happy that I'm canceling my subscription because yeah, I find it useless. If you have like good use cases for it, please, drop it in the comments. But it's the second time that I try to use it and I'm not getting anything useful out of it, either with Claude or using Raycast MCP extension. It's the same problem. I suppose now, I haven't tried it, but I suppose you can connect it with ChatGPT as well. So let's just quickly see what are the options that we have available here. This is OpenAI. Yep. This is this. So let's create a new chat. We have some connection here. We cannot see it. Let's see in the settings. Connectors. Yeah, nope. So we're left with Claude Code and Raycast as the only possible MCP automations that are that are available for Notion right now. So so yeah, I will leave you to this, for at least for Claude. That's personally my own review, is that it's absolutely garbage. Notion AI has made great progress, but yeah, don't know when to query or when to file search. Let's try to help him here. Can you query my meeting database instead? Yeah. And here we have our weekly coordination with Adrian. Um, and that's, that's my, I'm not going to open this because yeah, it contains maybe a bit of sensitive information. But basically here, that's the result that makes sense for me. It queried my meeting minutes database, and it found the full transcript and the granular transcript. And so this is true. Like, I'm not going to open it here, but because there's all my meetings and there are, the ID of the users in their email. But basically, I have this meeting database where there is all the meetings. And so here it's, yeah, did it, no, it's still, what did it do? Still found, where is this? Meeting minutes. Okay, let's open this. Yeah, this is, 11th of August. Okay, Notice platform. Yeah. Yeah, that's maybe not the best test because I cannot test this live. Let's try like one last example with things that I can share on screen. Let's do what? Let's go to the content calendar. And here, for example, we have daily office hours. This is post type live, and it's about my help center. And if you look at this, the last live was this one. So let's just ask what was my last live about? Let's not give him too much information. Let's do the same here. And finally, let's do this here. So we have a competition right now going on. We have on one end, Claude searching my database for my last live. We have, okay, Notis has found something. A good result, Notice on first try. Where's Notion AI? Did I lost my Notion AI? Where did you go? There, last live. Oh, that's a win for Notion AI. Good job, Notion AI. Very proud of you. This is it. It doesn't give me the length of the page, but oh yeah, there. That is actually my last live. So really good job. And here, not bad for Claude. So what did he do? Yeah, it again, it cheated. It didn't query a database. It just did a file search, and it was lucky enough that in the results that it caught, that it could just like logically look at the last one. But yeah, this will work, you know, less than 25% of the time, I'd say, because if you do a rag search and it's not in the search result, then you cannot see it. So yeah, good job, but you were lucky. This on the other hand, if I go back to this, if let's see what it did here. No, here as well, it was lucky. This was like a rag search. Let's it was lucky. Can you query the database? And unfortunately for this example, Notice did the right thing. It queried the database, but it found the wrong thing. It used the wrong filter. Um, let's search for post type equal live as a filter and ranked by last time. I'm helping it. That's unfair. Yeah, and here it went a bit smarter. It queried the database. So that's a really, really cool thing about the new Notion AI. It can really compete. It can start competing with Notice in its ability to use Notion because it can now query the database. But what we've seen, uh, it still cannot follow, for example, the instructions that you put in your database, which makes sense. It wasn't created for this. But if you're interested in the paradigm that I've created with Notice, where you basically transform any database and set your instructions there, there's no way you can do this in Notion. You will have to explain to Notion every single time what are the different steps you expect its agent to do. Not mentioning that you cannot interact with voice with Notion AI. A bunch of tools that we've given access to Notice are not available in Notion AI. And it's not to criticize it. I'm very happy that they're pushing the Notion AI envelope and making it better, because with that whole vision of building your digital asset, your second brain inside Notion, it needs to become better. I mean, I need Notion AI to become a very, very powerful tool for working with my context, because I'm putting all my context into Notion. But I also need Notice to become even better at handling the workload when I'm not in front of my computer or when it's running automation. And I think this is the path that Notice is really going to grow into. On one end, you're going to have Notion AI that becomes in this very powerful real-time assistant, a bit like a cursor, where you micro delegate tasks for creating documents, creating new entries while you're in front of your computer, or even while you're on the go. But Notice really becomes that AI intern that you give tasks that will take like 10 minutes to complete, and you do this with your voice. So this is like the main input. So anyway, this is my take on the new Notion AI. Also, in summary, Claude, very mixed feelings about this. I mean, very bad feelings about this. I don't think this is really a productivity tool at this step, at this stage. I think the power of it comes with the number of integrations that you can add there. And sure, like it can be useful to be able, like, a kind of find my latest email on this and draft Notion document on this. So I think like a quick integration to do this from Claude is quite cool. But I think the usability is very limited, because yeah, Claude is not being able to use Notion MCP, or at least the Notion MCP is so bad that it's kind of useless. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend you spending so much time trying to do anything with those, this MCP integration, this Notion MCP integration. And finally, we have, yeah, my baby noticed that. So here it went on and it queried that database. It's able to do a bunch of things. Obviously, you're here, so you know about Notice. So I'm not going to repeat this. But anyway, this was like a quick overview, not so quick, like an hour and 10 overview of those different tools for using Notion in your AI assistants. Um, yeah, my recommendation still the same. Don't waste too much time with MCPs. Invest your time into learning how Notion AI works and learning how Notice works. And those two right now represent the best complement in the world. And yeah, if that change anytime, you'll be the first informed in one of the daily office hours. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry, this was, I think, quite a boring comparison, to be honest. Didn't work so well to highlight really the strength and the weakness of the two products, because there's so much random happening. Like you can do a file search, a rack search, and then still find the good results, and then it doesn't capture so well, like during a live, how bad it is. But yeah, so thank you for the one that watched this. Thank you for sticking with me. I'm Flo, you're in my garage. I'm the creator of Notice.ai, and I see you next time for another live stream for Notice office hours. If you want to join those office hours, please do. They're held every day. You have the link that shows below. You see the time in your local time zone, can add this to your calendar, and you can join and be a guest into that live. And if you're not comfortable being live, just let me know, and we just do this one-to-one. I don't connect. I don't do those live every day. So I hope it was interesting to see what's the state of MCP, and I see you next time into another